So if I get a little wonky, Amanda will jump in because the Wi-Fi is a little sketch. I've got
you're already a little, I would say you're already a little wonky, Julie, just a little.
I'm a little sketchy. I've been known to be very
sketchy. You've always been
sketchy. Now it's just exacerbated by technology. So, okay, all right. I digress. It seems like we're all freezing. I don't know if it's working. We'll figure it out. You guys can give me a high sign. Amanda Q. Talk to me in the chat if it looks like we're getting crazy, and then we'll switch over to you. So I'm not going to jabber anymore then. Let's get right to it. Although Andrea's in the thick of it in the weather department up in Andrea, you're in the Bishop area?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is getting inundated with rain and snow. So the fact that she's here with us, it's pretty amazing.
It's really crazy, guys.
Yeah. All right. It's going to go Andrea, Gabe, Amanda B, Tom Benton. So Andrea, take it away.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully.
Yep. That should be set for you.
Okay. So I wanted to talk. There's an open editor. That's not helping. Where is it? Here it is. Sorry, guys. I wanted to talk about In the Nation's Service, the life and times of George P. Schultz. I couldn't remember his middle initial. Didn't want to get that wrong because it could be somebody who's wanted for the FBI.
Right.
A different kind of criminal, a public servant, and a political operative for many years at the height of power in the 1970s, 80s, and beyond. He was in the cabinet in a number of positions, but the last one where he arguably had the most power was as Secretary of State. This book is from Stanford University. It's $35 hardcover. It's out today. There's copies in the store. It's magisterial in scope, really. It's an amazingly well-written and researched book that's getting the kind of blurbs and reviews that you could only hope for, basically. And this just this does not shy away from talking about the controversy. So it basically explores the highs and lows of Schultz's career and as a public servant. Does not, as I said, shy away from the controversies of, say, like how when he was on the board of Theranos, he just sort of really wasn't paying attention to some major like emergency alerts around Elizabeth Holmes and her major fraud that she perpetrated against people and the company shareholders, etc. So it's got everything in there. And this is the kind of book with the kind of, I don't know if I have any quotes here. I don't think I have any right now, but this is the kind of book that like it's going to be up for awards for sure, I think. And it's nice to see that from Stanford University. This is one of those great nonfiction titles that somebody an editor from the big houses would have picked up. So it's nice to see that Stanford has that. So In the Nation's Service, the life and times of George P. Schultz, hardcover at $35, and it's out today.
Probably some interesting parallels maybe to other things that are going on.
Yeah, it's like it's really a timely volume to yeah,
maybe disheartening to know that we haven't come that far.
No, it's basically, it's like a shell game, and like, you know, and you're going, oh, that person, and then oh, that person, and then they just change names basically right. 10 years. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, look who's in the house.
What's up, Cam?
Kim DeVoe.
Hi, everybody.
Happy New Year,
Hi,
Kim
Kim.
DeVoe coming in the
I'm
house.
totally unprepared, but I'm joining anyway.
Excellent. Sounds like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I know, I love it. All right. Kim, you're gonna go last. My internet
Thank
connection is
God.
saying
Okay.
it's really slow. So anyways, Gabe, you're next.
So I'm going to present real quickly Daughters of Izdihar, which is a debut novel from author Hadir Elsbai. This is a fantasy novel based on Egyptian mythology. So we have two female protagonists, Nehal, who comes from a very privileged family, and is a water weaver. So she has the power to tame water to her will, and she meets she's forced to marry, of course, somebody who she doesn't want to marry. And this book is all about women and independence and freedom. But because her father is affluent, yes, but the family's crushed by his gambling debts. So she wants to be a female warrior. She wants to be a warrior, but she can't go to the academy because they can't afford to send her because they have no money. And so she's forced to marry Nico, who is in love with somebody else, a woman, Georgina, who is of lesser prospects and is a bookseller back in this fantasy world. And so through Nico, these two young women meet and help each other try to rise above. And then in the background of their story is what to them is the bigger story. Their nation may be drawn into war, and they're on the brink of war, and that's going on in the background. So the individual and the group come together here. So really provocative read. As I said, it's based on Egyptian myths and the contemporary problems that exist, issues that exist for women since time began, explored here, and women working together to get each other out of helping each other to overcome and get ahead. Out tomorrow.
It looks like it might be a big tome. Is it a big one?
It's a regular size novel, 300. Okay. Actually, it's 380 pages, so you get an extra 80 pages.
Okay. All right. Looks good though. Looks really good. Looks like a good one. All right, Amanda B, what do you got for us?
Yay. Okay. So first up, there you go. Out tomorrow. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Like I froze for a second, just want to make sure. Okay, so here we go. We have Everybody Knows by Jordan Harper. Super, super excited for this one, L.A. Noire. And what's great about this one is I actually got to listen to a little early preview of him speaking. He did an in conversation with Michael Connelly. So that is super fun and exciting. So this book actually, so of course, again, L.A. Noire, set in the underbelly entertainment industry. Definitely really super exciting. Very happy to have this one out. And then, so this is actually a follow-up to his last book, She Rides Shotgun. So in this one, Mae Pruitt, she works alongside her ex-cop ex. Ooh. And then they're trying to keep some unflattering news about a celebrity quiet, but then Mae's boss is gunned down, and now they're on the hunt to figure out what happened. This one has also been selected for an Indie Next Pick for January. So there you go, and local author to Southern California.
Okay, this is where my brain is at. I read it, and I liked it, but I'm trying to remember what who are the main characters again?
No spoilers, Julie. No spoilers.
I know.
No spoilers. So our main character is Mae Pruitt,
right?
And then she works together with her ex in this one.
Okay. Yeah. It was good.
Coming back, right? It's coming back.
Yeah.
Well, it's. I mean, I've all over the internet. This guy is like the hottest writer. Like he seems to be the next big thing. I mean, maybe he's already that big, but I wasn't aware of him until recently.
It definitely was one that creeped up on us. When we first came out with it, I had a couple of requests, obviously the LA theme. Then he did the In Conversation with Michael Connelly, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, what has everybody heard about this book? And what is anybody? I'm like, oh yeah, I've gotten a few requests, and poof, like, and now and all of a sudden it's on the Indie Next list. So yeah.
Right. And S.A. Cosby, who's one of the hottest mystery writers, is all over this, like good friends with this guy, all over his books. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's terrific. She Writes Shotgun. We published She Writes. He wrote a short story collection, and the last novel, She Writes Shotgun. And we knew it had a lot of bite, got a lot of attention, and we knew we were disappointed to see that he moved on, but a really good writer.
Set up by Harper, it sounds like.
Okay. We did all the work.
Like teed it up.
But we paired him with Michael Connelly. So
who?
To me all the time, right? Grove gets a young writer at Berkeley, and then one of the big houses snaps him or her up. That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. All right, Tom Benton.
All right. Speaking of authors new to a publisher, and I'm very excited that I am able to sell Pico Iyer. So his new book is The Half Known Life in Search of Paradise. So he came to Riverhead for this book and future books. And I think Riverhead is a great home for him. Now, he's been writing, he's one of our very best travel writers, and has been for almost 50 years. I've been a fan for most of those years. And over the last, so travel writing, yes, but over the last, I don't know, decade more, he's been looking at the inner life as much as the outer life. So the new book is, as it says in the subtitle, In Search of Paradise. So this is a, it's kind of like the capstone, the crowning achievement of a life's work. I mean, there's going to be many more books to come, but he's taking a lot of the travel that he's done over these many years and decades and looking at all that travel through the lens of what paradise means to the people that he's, the country that he's in. So he travels to places like North Korea and Iran, which are set up in certain ways to be their own version of paradise. He also goes to Japan and Sri Lanka, the Himalayas. He's a great friend of the Dalai Lama and has traveled a lot with the Dalai Lama. So he is one of the great travel companions on both. I'm sure I haven't traveled with him, but on the page, I mean, unbelievable. I hope to travel with him, Julie, someday, because he's amazing. So a really interesting new, similar to the kind of work he's done, but there's a new depth and level to it, I feel like. His fans include people like Liz Gilbert, Cheryl Strayed, Krista Tippett, and he's amazing, like I say, on the page, but if you ever get a chance to hear him, see him, he's incredible. So really happy that I now get to sell Pico Iyer, The Half Known Life in Search of Paradise.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's a great, great size. It's really approachable. It's fantastic.
And what I think is kind of, maybe I'm oversimplifying this, but when you change publishers like that, does it open you up to a whole different kind of audience? I mean, people who know him, obviously, but then it's just like, I
think that's right. I mean, I think he's been published by the same publisher, which is a great publisher. It's part of Penguin Random House.
Right.
But, you see, he's suddenly seen with fresh eyes by a whole new set of people. I think that's what.
Right. Yeah, because I think that sometimes when it's like, people take we should probably put a tip of hat to Russell Banks, that he passed this weekend. And it's just like, sometimes when somebody's so known, it's like, if they switch a little bit, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but.
Well, and Russell Banks, this is one of my favorite Russell Banks books, long time ago. But was he Harper the whole time?
Until this last book, Dan left Harper, and then he went over to Knopf. So the last book was at Knopf, and he's been with Harper since Continental Drift. Before Continental Drift, maybe. Okay. But that's the first book I read. That's like old, Tom.
I know. It's still on my shelf.
Yeah. All right. We get Kim DeVoe to talk to us today.
Okay, well, I'm doing a repeat. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My first book is also it comes out tomorrow. It's Everybody Knows by Jordan Harper, who's both an acclaimed Hollywood screenwriter and an Edgar Award-winning crime fiction writer. The story is set in Hollywood, and in an absolutely unforgettable opening scene, we meet May, who works for a crisis management PR firm that makes scandals disappear for some of LA's most powerful people. After her boss is murdered in a seemingly random shooting, May teams up with an ex-cop to investigate, and the ensuing story is super dark and action-packed, filled with corruption, scandals, moral dilemmas, and so on. It's a total LA noir binge read. Recommended for fans of Michael Connelly, S.A. Cosby, and James Ellroy.
Kim, that was the one that you told me about. That's where this is all circling back to, Amanda. Because when you say it's like I read it, Kim, you were the one that recommended this, that I read it, and I loved
you
it.
You were in the mood for like
I was in the mood for just,
binge read.
Yeah.
I hope you liked it.
It's good. No, I think it's really gonna. If you're in the mood for that, it's perfect. And like you said, Tom, everybody's in on this one.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. All right, Andrea, what do you got for us next? Uh-oh, you with us, Andrea? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Wow, like it's only been 2.5 years or whatever.
All good.
I wanted to talk about Gently Down This Stream, Notes on My Sudden Departure by the great self-help, motivational, and inspirational writer Hugh Prather, with a little help from his wife. He was basically dying, and so they worked together to bring together this book that is basically just pithy aphorisms, poems, personal anecdotes, and spiritual let me get this up here for you so you can see that spiritual insights from a guy who really was one of those early writers in this in the field of self-help, motivation, and inspiration that paved the way for a lot of other people. There's a nice quote on cover from Wayne Dyer, basically saying that Prather speaks the language of spiritual transformation. And so this is a nice little gifty book. It's a small volume, nice to give to somebody that perhaps is into motivational passages, that sort of thing. There's a small stack at Warwick's, and this will, I think, be one of those books that sells well over time, out of the self-help and inspiration section for sure. The guy, has a name, as well as his wife. They've sold collectively over 10 million copies of their book. So, they're big names in the field. Gently Downstream, Notes on My Sudden Departure.
I love it. Seems like
it's a nice little package. It's going to do well. It's from New World Library that publishes into that category extremely well. They know what they're doing. So
I think this is the year of just like doing just that. Just going gently down the stream, man.
It's perfect for these divisive times for sure.
Exactly. Don't get too caught up in stuff. All right. Exactly. All right, Gabe.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about somebody who I've never talked about before because she's a monster seller for us, Mary Kubica. And Mary Kubica she's one of these authors who jumped onto the scene with like an international bestseller and sold like 2 million copies. and it sold for like a couple of years. So she sort of leapt ahead into the stratosphere. But this book actually, and so the independent community usually is looking to break people out, and we look at different books, or independents look at other books. But Mary Kubik has just got a broad audience. So this book was actually got an Indie Next pick, which is voted on by independent booksellers across the country, and Just the Nicest Couple was picked for a January feature. So that's pretty exciting for us, and I think it broadens out, introduces a lot of people who want something juicy and quick and page turny, and that grabs you, and you run through it, and on an airplane flight, or it's a great vacation book, great book to take a break from, though they can be tense. So sometimes some of them are a little tenser than others. This book, we have a young married couple, and life is going along just fine, and they have a fight one night, and what happens? Husband Jake doesn't come home, so his wife Nina thinks he's just stopped blowing off some steam. It was a pretty heated argument, and then he doesn't come home the next night, and then it's 5 days later, and he doesn't come home. So she's sure he's missing. As she starts digging in, the reluctant detective starts digging into what's going on. The reader finds out that the last person to see Jake alive was Nina's close friend and work friend, Lily Scott. And that's where, who tells her husband, and then the thing kicks off, a lot of tension. So good missing person, what's going on? Who did I marry? Who have I lived with? What's reality? What's real? Who can I trust? A lot of details, and the dread. It's a little tense. I thought it was pretty tense. The dread in this novel, like you're going to find out something terrible. So I think she did a really good job, and I'm excited to introduce a whole bunch of new readers to Mary Kubica.
Perfect. She always been with you guys?
She was a Harlequin, so she was a Harlequin when we bought Harlequin.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. No, we actually had her at a luncheon here a few years ago. She's awesome. She's lovely.
She's lovely. Yeah, she's really good. I got to meet her in Spokane or somewhere in Seattle, Washington, Tacoma.
Awesome.
Last year.
Awesome. Yeah.
Very nice.
Very cool. All right. Okay. Didn't one of her books get turned into some kind of, did it get a series?
I don't think yet.
Okay. I thought one of them might have. Anyways. All right. Okay. Amanda B., what you got?
Okay. Here we go. The Three Lives of Alex St. Pierre from Natasha Lester. So this book actually comes from our Forever line, which is our romance. And this is actually the first time that Natasha is going to be in hardcover for a romance. It's very exciting for that. So Alex St. Pierre, she inadvertently lands a job as a U.S. spy in Switzerland during World War II. And when she's there, or during that time, she learns a very dangerous secret. Now, we are at the end. The war is now over after the Allied victory. She's working as the director of publicity for the House of Dior in Paris. Now that secret that she learned is coming back to haunt her when a mysterious figure that's from the war comes and threatens her future. So there we go. So we got a little mystery, a little intrigue, and of course, always a romance. So that's kind of fun. And again, Natasha, she's known for her historical romances. Again, this is the first time we have it out in the hardcover format. So yay.
Awesome.
And a cool cover.
Really good cover. And people love Paris. Anything about Paris.
Everyone loves Paris.
Everybody loves Paris. I want to go back. All right, Tom Benton.
Okay. I'm so excited about this book. I love this history. It's called City Under One Roof. It's debut, Iris Yamashita. So it's got this, to me, it was an original, ingenious twist on the locked room mystery. So it's set in a town in Alaska that's based on a real life town. The real life town is called Whittier, where everyone lives in the same building. So in the building, you have a hotel, a general store, a school, everything, restaurant, and everybody, it's this large building. And you can look it up. I mean, there's a great YouTube documentary. I think NPR did a great thing about it. So it really exists. And so it's a perfect setting for a mystery where a severed hand and foot wash up. Someone is dead and someone is responsible, most likely in this building, because there's no one else except for the detective who comes from Anchorage. And to get to this town, you have to go through a tunnel. So then the detective gets there to investigate, and then there's a snowstorm, and there's no escaping. So it's really it's fantastic. I loved it. Loved every second of it. It is for, if you love Tana French, I think it will satisfy that. If you're waiting for the next Tana French, and who isn't. It also took me back to we used to publish Nevada Bar, like the early mysteries of Nevada Bar, which had a lot of nature writing and great mysteries. Had a little bit of that. And then it has some Twin Peaks and The Shining thrown in. So it's a really fun mix. It's called City Under One Roof. Oh, and to keep so there's tons of quotes from a million mystery writers, but Mary Kubica says, City Under One Roof is a gripping, unsettling, and oppressive thriller that welcomes a wonderful new talent to the genre. Prepare to be quickly immersed in this dark and moody murder mystery. So that's Under One Roof.
I love it. So Beth
Doherty's
on here saying that she can verify that Whittier exists because she's been there. So
that is amazing.
So Beth's been everywhere.
Yes, she has.
I love it.
Week after week, she doesn't disappoint.
There's always something. Somebody's going to come up with something. But it's also I doubt that it's the same, because I think it's a comedy. The one that's got Steve Martin and Martin Short, Only Murders in the Building.
Murders in the Building. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's got maybe a little bit of that, but less comedy.
Much less
comedy.
A little darker. I'm thinking might be right up my alley. But it sounds like it's got that super atmospheric Alaska thing going on. Ooh,
yeah, totally. And the oppressiveness of this, you're so set apart both geographically in that part of Alaska and in that building. And then I love The Shining is about building as much as it is anything else. Yeah. So.
Okay, so we watched a really interesting thing. I think it was, I don't know if it's Ariel Alaska or something about, it was on the Smithsonian Channel about Alaska. Did you know the Japanese actually landed in Alaska during World War II and occupied part of it?
I didn't know that.
Okay, fascinating.
We published a book. We have a book somewhere. One of our Stephen Kiernan. We have an author. We did a book on that.
Yeah. My husband and I sat there with our jaws dropped. It's like, we had no idea they were on American soil.
Apparently all of our history classes left much to be desired. I haven't heard that either.
Yeah, no, it was fascinating. I mean, it wasn't of any consequence, so that might be why it wasn't brought up more, but no, they took prisoners of war up there. The postmaster for this town was taken as a prisoner of war. On our soil in Alaska. It's fascinating. Anyways, I totally digress. But look up the Smithsonian on that. Okay, Kim, what do you got for us?
Okay. My second book is, I don't have a copy of it, sorry. It's Judas 62 by Charles Cumming, an award-winning British spy novelist who used to work for British Secret Service, MI6. It's the second book in his latest series, but you can totally read it first. I did. And it features Lachlan Kite, a spy working for a covert intelligence organization that operates below the radar. They don't officially exist. The story alternates between a mission in the Soviet Union in 1993 to help a scientist escape to the West, and the current day when people from that past operation are suddenly dying. It's fabulous. They're really great characters. The ups and downs of leading a double life, exotic settings, the contrast of the spycraft in the early 1990s versus today with our technological innovations and more. I missed the first book in the series, Box 88, but I know Adrian loved it, and I'm absolutely going to read it. I can't believe I hadn't read Charles Cummings previously. He's huge in the spy novelist world. And if you like spy novels, you will absolutely love him. He's like on par with Le Carré.
Oh,
yeah, except like so much more fun because it's modern. And much more, I think, relatable characters and certain likable characters. So yeah, highly recommend.
okay. What's it again? What's the title again?
It's called Judas 62.
Okay.
And the previous one, which is out in paperback now, is called Box 88. And they both are just off the charts great.
Ooh, that might have to be my next read on when I need something a little. What am I reading right now? Oh, I just finished the well, it's not coming out for a while. I won't talk about it. Never mind. Anyways, okay. Lightning round. Andrea, what do you got?
Okay, thanks. I did a comment on those, Kim. Those sound like they'd be great audiobooks too.
Yes, absolutely. Both of those. But any like thriller is like a fun book to read because they're really, engaging.
Yeah, and if you have a good narrator, it'll just like
exactly.
Bye. That's cool.
Exactly. And the first guy, Jordan Harper, he's a screenwriter. I mean, his stuff is, it's totally set up for that.
Yeah. Speaking of screenwriters, I've already talked about this book, but Michael Bennett, a screenwriter and director, here has come out with a debut novel. It's an excellent crime novel set in Auckland, New Zealand, and environs. And this is a great book. It and I just want to talk about it again. You guys sold out of your first shipment and you got more into the store, so it's doing well at the store. This is an indie next pick for January, as Gabe was talking about for his previous title. Hard for a debut crime book to get on this list, so we're pretty excited about that. Great cover there too, right? And
really good cover.
Hannah Westerman is our detective here. She's a single mother. She's a Maori descent, and she's working in the Auckland police force under her ex-husband. So there's a lot of tension there. There's also tension between identities as an Indigenous person trying to remain loyal and observant of her heritage, as well as being a cop, right? I mean, that's her identity as well. So there's these tensions in the book echo the greater tensions within the society where city starts. It's New Zealand's. What happens is the crime revolves around what Hannah comes to believe is the New Zealand's first serial killer. She realizes that this killer could very well be Maori, who has twisted a Maori notion of balance to basically eke out vengeance against people that were historically / genetically connected to a terrible massacre that occurred during the colonial period. So that echoes that tension there. And then Hannah's own journey, and it's written very well. It's very seamless. Yes, you can I guess meditate on all of those issues, but you don't even have to think about those issues if you want, because the storyline and plot is great and is very propulsive. But those issues are what catapults us to the level of the literary, right? And I just, the socio-political or socio-cultural commentary that is woven into this fast-paced thriller. So it works on a lot of different levels, and I just think that this is going to continue to sell well for a long time. And this is the first of the Hannah Westerman series, so she'll be back, and that's exciting. Better the Blood, $27 hardcover by Michael Bennett, and this is from Atlantic Monthly Press, which is the sister press to Grove.
Looks really good.
Talk about a lot yeah, it's great, and it's there's been a lot of great bookseller love for this, and I just think it's going to continue to sell well, and it's a great book, I think, as it moves into paperback, for any book clubs that do choose crime fiction.
But crime fiction about New Zealand too, I think, is really fascinating.
Yeah, it's great. It's I think it just has so many great elements going for it. I'm sorry that was supposed to be a lightning round.
It's okay. We kind of break the rules over a time.
We've lost that a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, who knows? Beth Doherty asked a question about the thing that I saw in Alaska. Yes, Beth, I think it was, I don't think it was mainland. It was one of the like peninsulas, I think, like you were saying, that kind of jut out there. So I don't think it was on the mainland Alaska, but it was still the Alaska territory. Anywho, maybe I wasn't paying as good of attention as I thought. Anyways. Okay, Gabe, lightning round.
So just a little Russell Banks, some of my favorites. Continental Drift up there. I stayed up reading Affliction all night on a road trip to Phoenix. I finished it like at 4 a.m. In Tucson, Arizona. So I'm a big fan. So that is some of my favorites. But I want to talk about The Hummingbird.
Did you just put that together?
Jules.
You're good, Gabe.
I got stuff going on.
You got it going on, Gabe. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed.
We did a lot of books with Russell, so yeah. He needed a minute. But Hummingbird, one of my favorite books of last year. I'm like Tom with this one. Maybe not quite like Tom. Nobody's like Tom about that. But
There's no one like Tom. Come on.
I previewed this book. We did the hardback. I've been talking about it. I love the read. I love what we did with the jacket. We got all these great quotes jutting out from the Hummingbird. And Marco is the man, the center of this novel. He's called the Hummingbird because he has this propensity to look like he's standing still in the middle of absolute chaos. He has he's mourning his sister. When we pick him up, he's mourning his sister. He is suffering the loss of a brother. He is taking care of his granddaughter when his daughter no longer can. So he is the guy who is absolutely stoic, absolutely steps up, and also taking care of his aging parents. And in the midst of all this, he's completely unfluttered. And he did it in a number of styles. It's really it's a really beautiful, compelling journey through time. He tells it in a myriad of styles. It's about suffering, it's about happiness, it's about love, it's about loss. A man who embodies this quiet heroism. He's not a hero. He's the rock that everybody depends on. A book that looks at the future with optimism and hope. It's just a beautiful read. It's beautifully insightful. When you start reading it, you recognize he's using a lot of different literary styles. Every chapter is done in a slightly different voice style, and then you're just like, this guy's just showing off what a good writer he is. But the book itself and the character is, we talk about, my wife doesn't watch sitcoms, and there's certain things she doesn't watch. And, you just sort of, a lot of these things are, why do you watch like a lame sitcom? And why does a lame sitcom exist sometimes for like 6-7 years? And it's the characters. For whatever reason, you want to go back to these characters. And this is a book about a character. That's what drives this book. I just think it's a beautiful book that needs to be read by everybody. And you may hear about it again.
I have that on my list. It's when you talked about it last year, I went and bought it, and I've got to bubble it up because it just sounds so good. It's
really good.
Yeah.
And it's on paperback on sale tomorrow.
Yeah. I got to get that one on my list. All right. I got to get that. It was, yeah. I've been reading. I try to put a list together of stuff for this month, like what's releasing. And it's like everything I'm reading is like not coming out till like May. It's kind of it's fun. But
Done.
I love it. All right, Amanda B, what you got?
All right. Come on, computer. There we go. So next up, I have The Kindest Red, and I'm going to butcher this so bad. So please, I apologize. Ibtihaj Muhammad, SK Ali, and Hatem Ali. So this is actually from the follow-up to The Proudest Blue, which came out last year and is amazing. So you can actually see up here. This is now the younger sister of the girl we met in The Proudest Blue. And this is The Kindest Red. And fun fact, the next book will be white. Something to do with the color white. But in this little book, our young girl here, she actually inherits this little red dress that originally belonged to her mother and her sister, and now it's hers. And so she's been waiting so long to wear this really beautiful dress. But when she's in school, they talk about what kind of world do we want to live in? And they talk about wanting to live in a good world, a world where people are nice to each other. It is beautifully illustrated. It is very heartwarming. And the kids in the classroom talk about all of these that they can do to make the world a better place. So again, just a few of the images here from this book. It was such a wonderful book. The Proudest Blue did amazingly well. And now we're following it up with The Kindest Red, which is just so wonderful. And this is definitely, I think, a must-have picture book for this year. So there you go, The Kindest Red.
Yeah, great illustrations. Looks really good.
So cute.
Yep. Okay, Tom.
All right. My lightning round pick is The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. First novel, debut thriller, psychological thriller. It's about a young woman named Maya who, when she was a high school senior, she and her friend Aubrey were hanging around with this older guy, Frank. And then one day, when the three of them were together, Aubrey just mysteriously dropped dead. Frank didn't touch her to do this, but suddenly she had died. So it's a book about trauma. And now 7 years later, she's watching a YouTube video, and there is a woman who drops dead in the video, and standing next to her is none other than Frank. So it sends her back into her past. She's been, ever since the first trauma, she has, the doctors prescribed Klonopin, which I guess is, a mood altering drug. So it's a little bit like I have a sense of a girl on the train vibe as well, because she's trying to push through the Klonopin to the truth. So it takes her back to Frank's cabin, which is the house in the pines. So it's most importantly, for a debut novel, as you can see there, it's the current Reese's Book Club pick last week. So also LA author. So lots of exciting things happening for this young author and debut novel, House in the Pines.
Love it. That's another one I bought last week too.
Oh yeah.
Start reading some of those. You get to.
No, it looks good. It's like, there's too many bugs. And then I got all caught up last week. That's why my wrist is like this. I'm blaming Kevin McCarthy because I watched for 8 hours and I was crocheting for 8 hours, riveted by C-SPAN.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
Would it be sending out everybody like little book themed doilies?
Exactly. I was just going insane. I was just like, oh my God. C-SPAN never had such a good week. Anyway, sorry.
That was your answer. Instead of having the popcorn, you had the crafts going.
I had the crafts going. All right, Kim, rescue me. Take us home.
Okay. My next book, my quick pick, is a cookbook. It's called Gâteau: The Surprising Simplicity of French Cakes by Alexandra Crapanzano. She's actually a James Beard Award-winning writer. And I had no intention of buying this book, and Stacy made me, blaming it on Stacy. she was buying it and she said, look at this book, Kim. And she drags me over and she starts showing me the books. I'm like, oh, I have so many cookbooks, you know, I've been buying so much stuff for the holidays. She's like, no, Kim, you have to buy this. So of course, you know, it's not hard to convince me. So I bought it and I cooked from it through the whole holidays. They really are simple. The Parisians don't bother trying to compete with their local patisserie and their super fancy, delectable creations at home. They just make really simple, casual, but completely delicious and very European style cakes that I just love. And this book includes both sweet and savory. It's divided into simplest cakes. I spent a lot of time on that chapter. I've barely gotten out of that chapter. And I made the yogurt cake with almond flour, the pear cake, the cardamom cake. And then from the savory, I made the Roquefort walnut cake. And I just made the walnut cake. And I'm going to bring it to work tomorrow. Julie, we'll see how it is. But she has a chapter on regional classics, a chapter, like I mentioned, the simplest of the classics. It's a great chapter. She has one with berries and apples and pears and citrus, you know, with fruits. She has a nut one, a chocolate one, a layer cake one, a chic one, Madeline's, holiday cakes, and again, savory cakes, and then toppings. And it's just fabulous. Like, they really are simple. And everyone, I mean, I baked through it through the whole holidays because it was so easy. And I brought them places. They aren't fancy, so they're transportable. They make a great hostess gift. I love this cookbook.
I love it. It looks so good. And Beth Johnson's on here and she actually has this. So she is like, it's an amazing cookbook.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. She got it for the holidays.
Yeah. I gave it as gifts. You know, you make cake, you make a little cake, you include it with the cookbook as a gift. It's great.
My question is, Gabe, does Deborah have this?
Yep. She got a couple of gâteau books.
Oh, I love it. I love it. No, that looks so good. So my North County friends here, and Gabe, have you or Deborah been to Versailles, the new bakery? It's not actually new, but there's one in Encinitas. There's two actually in Encinitas.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
is it good? Worth a trip?
Worth a trip. I live near it, but it's like, it is my new obsession. Their croissants are amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try it.
I'm writing that down for future trips.
Yeah, Versailles. There's one on the coast in Encinitas, and then there's one inland on El Camino Real, which is near where I'm at, and it is just
okay.
Oh
fantastic.
wow, good to know.
My French ex-parent from San Diego needs to know, because
it's the thing, because nobody very few places do a good croissant.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The things
we had the Champagne around the corner that was pretty good, but they closed up.
Oh, yeah.
And now you go to that other place, and it's like what used to be a $4.50 croissant or dessert at Champagne is like $10 up on the upstairs up there. It's like
this it's not cheap, but man, it's so good. All right, good.
Yeah.
Great books this week. Something for everybody, for goodness sakes. This was really good.
I started listening to the Reese pick just today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a really good audiobook. And it's it's quite riveting. I mean, it's a great story.
Very, very, very atmospheric and compelling.
Libro.fm, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another good week. I will be back. It was a little distracting today. Sorry, I was in the store. There was some background noise, so I apologize for that. Next week, I'll be back to you from my home office, so it'll be nice and quiet. But got an event tonight. Got Douglas Brinkley here. Secrets. Oh, God, I can't think of the name of the book, but it's...
Oh, that looks good.
I know. I can't wait. Love having Douglas Brinkley in the house. So he'll be here. If you're in San Diego, come on by. He'll be
it's about the environment. All the environment.
Yeah.
Rachel
Carson, right.
Yeah, secrets.
Yeah.
I can't. No, sorry. My brain. out. Okay, everyone.
Okay.
Happy reading. Kim, it was great having you back.
I'm going to try to make it. Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody. See you all next
Okay,
week.
bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.